Okay, this is my video response to a guy called VenomFangX and his video proving the existence of the eternal God. You'll need to watch that video first if this is going to make any sense. I would encourage you to check this guy's channel out. A couple of things worth noting are the fact that all of his videos have 5-star ratings and the ratings are disabled, and the comments he receives for his videos are all positive. I will let you draw your own conclusions about what that tells you and about this guy's honesty. But anyway, onto the video. To think that you can discover any truths about the real world through sitting down and thinking is pretty naive. It's the way that the ancient Greek philosophers used to think. And we've come quite a long way since then. We now realise that science is useful for discovering truths about the real world, and that if we want to discover truths about mathematics or logic, then thinking is just fine. But if we want to discover truths about the world, then we need to do experimentation. So to start with, you're not going to prove anything about the real world through sitting down and thinking. However clever the argument sounds, you're not going to discover anything by that method. Okay, let's go on to a couple of concepts that you define. You said on your video, 3 minutes and 43 seconds into the video, you state that nothing finite could exist within eternity. 4 minutes and 24 seconds into your video, you say that God is infinitely powerful. Well, I've got a question to ask you. Could your infinitely powerful God put something finite within eternity? If he could, then your definition of eternity falls down. And if he couldn't, your definition of God falls down. So all I'm really showing you here is that your concepts really don't fit within a coherent mental framework, because they can produce paradoxes. Clearly I'm just playing with language the same way that you were, but neither of us is saying anything about the real world. Later on you go on to say, you redefine eternity, and you define it as without beginning, without end, always existing, infinite in all directions and in all forms. And you then go on to say, if I was to say God is eternal, that doesn't contradict it in any way. Well, what have you proved here? All you've proved in this instance is that you have two concepts that don't contradict each other. But it doesn't say anything about these new definitions of concepts. It merely says something about their relationship to each other. They don't contradict each other. It doesn't say anything about the concepts themselves. It doesn't tell us anything about the real world. To say anything about the real world, you need to observe the real world. And that's called science.